Hello guys, this is your friend. We are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Devil Sharigan Naruto's harem started with Kurenai and Hanabi Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Time skip. 3 years. A lone figure could be seen walking through the streets of Konoha. This person was 4 feet 9 inches tall. He was wearing a black t-shirt and blue pants. His hands were covered by his fingerless metallic gloves. He wore black sandals. His face was covered by a black face mask. He had a well-toned body and his blonde hair were wildly swinging in the air with 2 bangs falling over his covered face. Many civilians did not recognize this person and were just busy doing their work, while some shinobi recognized this person but ignored him. This person was none other than Naruto Hatake. It had been 3 years since Naruto had awakened his Sharingan and had started training to become a shinobi. He had joined the ninja academy with his friends 2 years back. His training had been going very well. He had found out that he was a ninjutsu specialist and was quite proficient with it. Kakashi had taught him a few jutsus and was constantly training him whenever he was free from his missions. His most notable achievement in ninjutsu was his mastery over water jutsu. He could learn and perform sweetened water-based ninjutsu very quickly. He also learned some jutsu of his other affinities but was unable to learn any earth-based ninjutsu. His Sharingan had fully matured and now had 3 tomos in it. It was during a sparring session with Kakashi that he was able to awaken the final stage of his Sharingan consisting of 3 tomos in each eye. Kakashi had congratulated him on achieving the final stage of his Sharingan. His taijutsu had improved too. Kakashi had made him use weights in his training. They were not too much but still he kept on increasing them as time passed. He also taught him some moves of the Uchiha's intercepting fist which focused mainly on speed and the movement of the opponents. Needless to say, this style suited Naruto much better with his Sharingan. Genjutsu was quite a difficult subject for him. Due to his vast chakra reserves, he had trouble controlling his chakra. Genjutsu required precise chakra control, though Naruto's chakra control had improved greatly, but it was still not good enough for him to learn any genjutsu, but he was able to easily dispel genjutsu due to his Sharingan which could see through illusions. Naruto's Sharingan was a little different than the ordinary Sharingan. Naruto's Sharingan could cast very effective genjutsu. His illusions were so real that only skilled shinobi or genjutsu specialist could break through them. This ability made up for his lack of skill in learning any other genjutsu apart from his Sharingan illusions. Kakashi had trained him in hypnotizing his opponents using his Sharingan and had even complimented him that he had the skill to surpass Itachi and Shisui Uchiha in the future with his Sharingan-based illusions. He was happy with his life, however he had met another person who cared for him despite being a Jinchuriki. Thinking of her brought a smile on Naruto's face. Flashback. 1 year ago. Kakashi and Naruto were continuing their regular training in the Forest of Death as usual. Naruto's skills had improved greatly due to his training. His strength, speed and ability to analyze his opponent and come up with counter-attacks were greatly increasing. "Alright Ni-san, what are you going to teach me today?" asked Naruto excitedly. "Today I'm going to teach you a variation of the shadow clone technique," said Kakashi. "Variation?" asked a confused Naruto. "Yes, it is called Raiden Kage Bunshin, Lightning Release, Shadow Clone. It is a type of shadow clone and can also perform techniques like any other shadow clone, but it is made up of lightning. Let me show you what you can do. First make 2 shadow clones and send them right towards me," instructed Kakashi. Naruto formed 2 clones and sent them charging towards Kakashi. Kakashi immediately formed a clone which rushed towards Naruto's clones. The first Naruto clone aimed a punch at Kakashi's clone chest, but he easily dodged it and tried to give a kick but was blocked by the second clone who was holding his legs. The first clone then immediately jumped in the air aiming to give a roundhouse kick to the Kakashi clone and finish him off. But before the kick could connect, the Kakashi clone smirked, and before Naruto's clones could even realize what was happening, they were electrocuted as the Kakashi clone burst into lightning, dispelling itself with Naruto's clones. Naruto winced as he got the memories of his destroyed clones while Kakashi chuckled. "Damn Ni-san, that was painful," muttered Naruto. "Now you see what it does. This technique allows the user to make a shadow clone infused with lightning. Because it is a shadow clone, it is able to perform techniques and interact with the environment due to it having physical substance, and also evenly distributes the user's chakra to each clone. If the clone is injured, it will revert to its natural lightning state, at the same time electrocuting whatever it is touching," explained Kakashi briefly. "If I am fighting an opponent near water source, this jutsu can be very helpful," thought Naruto. "Alright, now try to form a clone infused with your lightning chakra," said Kakashi, but was interrupted by Naruto. "We've got company," said Naruto sternly. His sensing ability has increased," thought Kakashi as he could also feel a chakra signature approaching towards their position. Just a few moments later, a young woman jumped in the clearing where Naruto and Kakashi were training. Curious to see who this person was, Naruto turned to look at her. First thing he noticed was that this person was a very beautiful young woman. She wore a brown trench coat, a short dark brown skirt above a fishnet cloth which covered the rest of her body. She had a look of pure mischief in her eyes, and her hair was a shade of purple that really looked great on her. All in all, Naruto had to say he found her very beautiful, and this brought a blush on his face, but thankfully it was hidden behind his face mask. "Damn, why am I blushing? I'm not a pervert," thought Naruto. "Oi Kakashi, what are you doing here?" asked the woman curiously. "Anko, what are you doing here?" asked Kakashi. "This is my playground, Kakashi-kun, now tell me, what are you doing here?" asked Anko in a very sweet voice which sent shivers down both Naruto and Kakashi. "Only Anko can call this a playground," sighed Kakashi. "She's exactly as Kakashi Ni-san said," thought Naruto, remembering how Kakashi used to talk sometimes about the snake mistress of Konoha, Anko Mitarashi, who was widely known for her sadistic tendencies. "Well, I am training my little brother," said Kakashi, and Anko turned and was surprised when she looked at Naruto briefly. "What, this brat? He looks like your clone," said Anko carelessly. Naruto's eyebrows twitched on being called a clone, but kept his calm, knowing losing his temper wouldn't end well for him. "I am Naruto Hatake, pleased to meet you, Anko-san," said Naruto respectfully with a short bow. "Wait, you're Naruto? What the do you mean that you are Kakashi's brother?" asked Anko a little loudly. Anko knew who Naruto was and what burden he carried. She did not hate the boy like many villagers, and even sympathized with Naruto as she too shared a similar past like Naruto, but then the boy just disappeared and now he is Kakashi's brother. One thought was going in her mind. What the happened? Thought Anko. Kakashi sighed and explained Anko the entire story about how he adopted Naruto but left out part of his lineage, and his Sharingan and his training until now. "Well, I didn't expect you to be of the caring type," teased Anko. "Did you say something?" asked Kakashi with an amused tone in his voice. "Why, you pervert!" yelled Anko. "Man, that was funny," said Naruto, who was laughing on seeing the interaction between Kakashi and Anko. "What was that, shrimp? I bet you don't even know how to hold a kunai," smirked Anko, trying to agitate Naruto. "Well, let's find out, shall we?" challenged Naruto. Meanwhile, Anko grinned while Kakashi wasn't sure if it was a good idea. Sure, Naruto was a calm and collected person, but he would never let anyone just insult him like that, and also it would be a good chance to test his skills against someone other than Kakashi. "Naruto, I don't think you should challenge Anko like that. She is a Junin like me," said Kakashi sternly, trying to make Naruto understand. "Ni-san, I know that I am no match for Anko-san right now, but I want to prove it to her that I am not worthless and you trained me well," said Naruto with determination in his voice. Meanwhile, Anko was impressed with Naruto's answer. He not only admitted that he was weaker than her and wanted to fight her for the right reasons. Fine then, don't complain when she breaks your bones, said Kakashi tiredly. Thanks Ni-san, said Naruto gratefully. Oi brat, since you are honest and not arrogant, let's make a bet, suggested Anko. What's the bet, Anko-san? Asked Naruto. You fight with me, and if you are able to hold against me for even 5 minutes, then I'll teach you something useful, said Anko seriously. That's acceptable, but what happens if you win? Asked Naruto suspiciously. Then you owe me a treat, said Anko with a dreamy look in her eyes, thinking defeating Naruto would just be a piece of cake. Oh, please, it isn't what I think it is, thought Kakashi fearfully. May I ask what this treat may be, Anko-san? Asked Naruto. Dango, yelled Anko, pumping her fists in the air. Shit, what have I gotten myself into? Thought Naruto. Everyone in Konoha knew about Anko's fetish for dango. It was even more than Naruto's love for ramen. I told you, Otutu. Well, it's your funeral, thought Kakashi. Alright, the rules are quite simple. You can use anything you want. Ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, all is fair. The spar will continue for 5 minutes until one gives up or loses. No serious damage is to be done to the opponent, it is a friendly spar, explained Kakashi in a monotone voice. Gee, thanks for that, Robo-Cyclops, said Anko, and even Kakashi was a little irritated by the name given to him. Naruto, come with me for a minute, said Kakashi, and walked a little away from Anko. Naruto followed Kakashi, and soon after they were a little distance away from Anko, Kakashi stopped. Naruto, you should not use any shadow clones or your Sharingan in this spar. The Sharingan I need not explain why you are not allowed to use, but for shadow clones I want to see your hand-to-hand combat skills without your clones, and it would be best to keep some of your abilities hidden. The shadow clone is a forbidden technique, and I don't think it will be right to show it to Anko at this time. Do you understand? Asked Kakashi. I understand, Ni-san, and I won't let you down, said Naruto confidently. I have no doubt about that, said Kakashi proudly, and patted Naruto on the back. Naruto walked up towards Anko and got into his fighting stance. Let's do this, said Anko loudly. She immediately threw a kunai towards Naruto at a very fast speed. Thinking it to be just a simple attack, Naruto just decided to duck from the kunai's attack, but was surprised when Anko appeared before him in an instant and punched him hard in the face, sending him crashing towards a few feet away. Damn, the kunai was just a diversion which she used to distract my attention and sneaked up on me so quickly. She's fast, thought Naruto, wiping some blood coming from his nose. Had enough, Gaki? Teased Anko. I am just getting started, said Naruto with an evil smile. Huh, he's got no skills and he's, thought Anko overconfidently. She then rushed towards Naruto, intending to finish the spar, and attempted to send a right cross into his cheek. What happened next caught her completely by surprise. Naruto ducked her punch and twisted her body, swatting her punch up and away. He then gave a strong punch to her torso. Anko suffered quite a painful blow and coughed up some blood. Yet before she could even process that, he drove his palm into her chin, knocking her to the ground with a spray of blood coming out of her mouth as her teeth cut into her own tongue. Interesting, he seems to be able to read her moves to some extent even without the Sharingan, thought Kakashi with a little pride. Why, you'll pay for that, brat, said Anko, and spat some blood out of her mouth. She then went through hand signs quickly and executed her jutsu. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu. Anko gathered a large amount of chakra and executed a large fireball towards Naruto. The fireball was enormous in size, and its flames were very hot and were burning everything in its way, and was speedily rushing towards Naruto, who had started performing his own hand signs with great speed. Sweden. Sujinheki, Water Release, Water Encampment Wall. A giant wall of water surrounded Naruto from all sides and impacted with the fireball with equal force. At first both techniques seemed to be at equal strength, but soon the fireball seemed to become smaller, and after a few moments it disappeared with only steam surrounding the entire area. Damn, what is this kid? He created water from nothing. There isn't even a water source nearby, how the hell could he do that? Thought Anko in amazement. She then quickly disappeared from Naruto's view with the intent of forming a new strategy. Meanwhile, Naruto was searching for Anko and was trying to locate her chakra through his sensor ability, and after a few moments he found her chakra coming from a nearby tree. Got you, thought Naruto and rushed towards Anko's position. He then immediately attacked Anko and attempted to kick Anko's feet, trying to make her lose balance, but she jumped upwards in the air and attempted to give him a strong kick on his head, but he was able to dodge at the last moment. They then engaged in a fierce battle of taijutsu, trading kicks and punches with each other. It was mostly Anko attacking and Naruto dodging her attacks with good speed. Damn, her taijutsu is impressive and she hits damn hard, thought Naruto, noticing some bruises over his body. This kid is something else, though I am not going all out, but still he is strong, thought Anko. Naruto decided that he was no match for Anko in taijutsu, so he decided to go with his strength, which was ninjutsu. He then performed a quick set of hand signs. Futen Daitapa, wind release. Great breakthrough jutsu. What? Thought a shocked Anko, but before she could evade the attack, a large gust of wind collided with her and sent her crashing into a nearby tree, where she crashed with a loud thud. Deciding not to give Anko any more time, Naruto performed another set of hand signs and gathered a large amount of chakra in his lungs. Kaden. Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu. A large fireball rushed towards Anko and engulfed her in flames and burned everything surrounding her position to ashes. Maybe I overdid it a little, thought Naruto tiredly, but just as he was able to call Kakashi, he heard something from behind his position. Tsunejishu, hidden shadow snake hands. Before Naruto could even blink, his entire body was entangled by a group of snakes and he crashed on the ground with the snakes holding him tightly on the spot. He looked back at where his fireball had hit only to see a burnt wooden log in his place. Damn, a substitution. You idiot, thought Naruto angrily. He looked back to see Anko standing behind him with a smirk on her face. Although her clothes were burnt badly, while there were some light bruises on her hands and knees indicating that she barely avoided the attack. Impressive, Gaki. You were able to hold up against me for this long and you even made me use my snakes. I'll admit you've got skill, but it's over. If you move, my snakes will love to get a bite from you, and they are very poisonous, said Anko in a very sickly sweet voice. Alright, I forfeit, said Naruto dejectedly. Now Naruto, can you tell me why was Anko able to defeat you? Asked Kakashi. Because I was weak, suggested Naruto. It was quite the opposite. You were indeed strong, but Anko had one thing which you do not have right now, said Kakashi, gaining a puzzled look from Naruto. That's experience, Gaki. I have fought with many shinobi during my career, and as a result I was able to estimate your strategy, your fighting skills, and was able to counter it. No matter how much a person trains, he still needs to have real experience, and that comes from missions. Don't worry, you'll improve, said Anko. But I still lost, said Naruto tiredly, as he still was unable to accept his defeat. Don't be so down, you performed quite impressive for someone your age. Always remember this: if your opponent is stronger than you and victory does not seem possible, then it is a good choice to accept defeat. Do not let your pride get in your way, it has led to the downfall of many shinobi. Sometimes to win you must lose, explained Anko, and removed her snakes and offered her hand to Naruto to make him stand, which he gratefully accepted. That was indeed a good spar. You were able to hold against Anko for 4 minutes, that's more than I expected. I'm proud of you, said Kakashi with pride in his voice. I understand, and thank you, Ni-san, Anko-san, for explaining this to me, said Naruto respectfully. Now Kakashi, how does he know such jutsus, and what the hell did you teach this boy? Don't you think he is too young to learn this much at his age? Argued Anko, thinking Kakashi was trying to make Naruto more stronger than required for his age. Now Anko, I understand your point, but Naruto has some enemies in the village who have tried to harm him in the past, so Hokage-sama had ordered me to teach him so that he could protect himself. Surely you understand that, don't you? Asked Kakashi, and Anko nodded. But how can he perform jutsu of 3 different affinity, and how in the hell does he have such high water affinity? Asked Anko curiously, as she was thoroughly impressed with Naruto's abilities. Kakashi then explained Naruto having 4 affinities and the training he has gone through till now. Anko whistled on hearing this. You are indeed interesting, Gaki. Well, as you performed so well and are not arrogant about your ability, I'll teach you a thing or two, said Anko, shocking both Kakashi and Anko. Kakashi was shocked. Beketsu Anko was never interested in teaching anything to anyone. After Orochimaru left the village and betrayed Anko, she shut herself down and never trusted anyone else like before except from her best friend. Kakashi was also a friend of Anko and knew of her pain, and for her to be willing to teach Naruto was quite astonishing. But I lost the bet. Why do you want to teach me? Asked a confused Naruto. Well, you and I are a lot alike and you have got talent, so I just think I'll teach you a thing or two, but you owe me a lot of dango for this, and stop calling me Anko-san, I am not a person for much honorifics, said Anko with a genuine smile. In truth, she cared for Naruto but was just unable to express it, and so this was her chance and she decided to take it. Thanks, Anko-chan, said Naruto with a true smile. Anko-chan, huh? You have good taste, Gaki. I might even like you, Naruto-kun, teased Anko while whispering in Naruto's ear, getting a light blush on Naruto's face, as Anko sure was beautiful and her ways of seduction were quite impressive. Meanwhile, Kakashi was giggling on seeing the entire scene between Anko and Naruto, but in truth he knew that Anko was just teasing Naruto. Now you do owe me some dango. Don't you? Asked Anko menacingly with a dark aura in her voice, and Naruto nodded immediately. Of course, Anko-chan. Kakashi-ni-san would like to come with us? Asked Naruto pleadingly, hoping Kakashi would come to pay for Anko's huge dango bill. Oh, you are not getting me this time, Naruto, thought Kakashi mischievously. Sorry, Otutu, I have got some work with Hokage-sama, see you later, said Kakashi and disappeared in a puff of smoke before Naruto could retort. Naruto turned around to find Anko impatiently tapping her feet on the ground. Damn you, Ni-san, you cheeky bastard, thought Naruto with anime tears dropping from his eyes on losing his precious pocket money. Flashback end. Needless to say, Naruto got along very well with Anko. She was able to get him to open up and not remain secluded from others. She was like his elder sister who always guided him. Even Kakashi and Anko became better friends. At first, Naruto thought that Anko was a hard person who just didn't care about anything, but after he came to know about Anko's life, he found one person to whom he could somewhat relate to. A person who could somewhat understand him. She also introduced him to some food other than ramen. He once criticized that dango was not better than ramen, and let's just say it didn't end well for him. Anko was true to her words and decided to give some training in taijutsu to Naruto. She was training him with some moves of the hanabi style which she was quite adept with. Under Anko's guidance, Naruto found out that his taijutsu needed a lot of work and he had not paid equal attention to taijutsu as he did with ninjutsu and genjutsu. So for the majority of the past year he trained with Anko and was still training with her to improve his taijutsu. Kakashi also occasionally trained him in ninjutsu, but the main focus was on taijutsu. Anko's training regime was brutal to say in the least, and every day Naruto would end up bruised and battered from wounds from sparring with Anko, but it was a great experience and he was learning something very useful, so he didn't mind much. He still hadn't told Anko about his Sharingan. It was not that he didn't trust her. Instead, she was a precious person to him, but he still didn't know if telling her the truth would change her views about him. Kakashi had advised him to wait for the right time and then explain it to her. Naruto was so engrossed in his thoughts that he didn't notice that he had arrived at the academy and was already a few minutes late for his class. He went towards his class and knocked on the door. Come in, said a voice from inside the class. Naruto entered the class and found his teacher Iruka Yumino staring at him. Iruka was a man of average height and build. He had black hair which he kept tied in a ponytail. He had dark eyes and a scar that run across the bridge of his nose. He wore the standard Konoha Chunin vest with a headband on wrapped around his forehead. Iruka was a very kind-hearted man who cared for all of his students. At first he was indifferent towards Naruto, but with passage of time he came to realize that Naruto was not the fox, instead he was a very kind-hearted boy who loved his friends. After that he opened up to Naruto and now they were good friends or siblings if one could say. Naruto, why are you late by 20 minutes? Asked Iruka sternly. Even though Naruto was special to him, he never showed favoritism to any one student. Sorry Iruka-sensei, I was training yesterday and got very tired so I was not able to arrive on time in class. It won't happen again, said Naruto honestly. Unlike Kakashi, he didn't like making lame excuses for his mistakes and admitted it. Iruka sighed and told him to sit in the class but not without giving him a warning. Naruto liked the academy as it was where he was able to spend more time with his friends, but he hated the academy's training which was entirely lame. The things which they were teaching the students to be genin would never help them get strong and survive in the shinobi world. But the worst part of the academy was fangirls. Most of the girls who wanted to be kunoichi were obsessed with boys and believed in fairy tales where they would be saved by their prince, while many boys considered themselves to be god and just wanted to show off. These were not the traits of a shinobi. A shinobi is a person who operates from the shadows and do not seek glory. They have complete control over their emotions and do whatever it takes to fulfill their mission. This was what Kakashi and Anko had taught him, but the academy was completely different. As a result, Naruto did not show off his skills in the academy like some other students. Instead, he opted to be an average student who had less skills. He was indeed the most powerful among his comrades, but he lived a life of deception because in the real world names, titles and ranks meant nothing. Even the strongest shinobi could be defeated by an opponent much weaker than them. Snapping out of his thoughts, Naruto went up to take his seat beside Kiba and Hinata. Hinata had become his close friend since he entered the academy. She was a very shy girl and lacked confidence, which was very unusual for a Hyuga. After knowing Hinata, he had came to know the pressure which the children of various clans of Konoha had to shoulder. Hinata was not an exception. She was the heiress of the Hyuga clan, who were considered the strongest clan in Konoha. Her father had high expectation from her, but Hinata was unable to fulfill them, so she was considered unworthy by her own clan. They preferred her younger sister better than her. Even her own father did not have faith in her, which according to Naruto was quite pathetic. But after she came in contact with Naruto and his friends, her confidence seemed to be growing slowly and she was starting to believe in herself. She admired Naruto a lot, but she always confused Naruto as she always had a blush on her face whenever she talked with him, and her stuttering was quite annoying during a chat. Now Naruto was not an idiot but was confused that whether she admired him or was infatuated with him, but decided not to push Hinata for any further talk as he wanted her to tell her what she felt on her own and not by force. Also, Naruto only considered Hinata a good friend and nothing more. Good morning Naruto-kun, said Hinata politely. Good morning Hinata-chan. Oi mud, wake up, said Naruto and bonked Kiba on the head, waking him from his sleep. What the hell Naruto, why'd you hit me? Asked Kiba in a sleepy tone. Why are you sleeping so early in the morning, idiot? Said Naruto with a smirk. 3, 2, 1. Now, thought Naruto. Man, Iruka-sensei's lessons are so boring. So I was taking a nap, said Kiba loudly, and Akamaru barked in agreement. This brought different reactions. The entire class laughed while Iruka was furious. Kiba Inuzuka, for that you shall write about the history of Konoha 50 times. Yelled Iruka. Kiba paled on hearing that. The history of Konoha was not something a person would want to write 50 times. Iruka-sensei, I was not alone. Even Shikamaru was sleeping. Pleaded Kiba, hoping to get out of this situation. Troublesome, I was not sleeping, Kiba, said Shikamaru quickly but yawned immediately after saying that. The class had a hearty laugh as Shikamaru was caught too. Naruto and the others watched with amusement as Iruka scolded both Kiba and Shikamaru for sleeping in the class. After a long lecture which lasted for many minutes and some apologies from Kiba and Shikamaru, Iruka let them go. Iruka took a few deep breaths to calm himself down in order to continue teaching the students. All right, now we shall, said Iruka, but was stopped in his speech as the bell rang signaling the end of the class. Shikamaru understood that it was Naruto's plan to distract Iruka and wait for the class to end to escape from the boring lesson. You planned this, didn't you? Asked Shikamaru sharply. I don't know what you are talking about, Shika, said Naruto slyly. What are you talking about, Shikamaru? Asked Choji curiously. Even Shino, Kiba and Hinata were intrigued. Shikamaru then explained what Naruto had done. Naruto-kun, that was mean, said Hinata, but still had a slight smile on her face. You tricked me, yelled Kiba. I try my best, said Naruto with a smrik. Troublesome blondes, said Shikamaru, but was bonked on the head courtesy of a pissed Ino. What was that, Shika? Asked Ino menacingly. Troublesome, muttered Shikamaru. Thanks, Ino. Nice hit, said Naruto laughingly. You bet, Naruto, said Ino and exchanged a high five with him. Ino was also one of Naruto's best friends and he liked her a lot. Her loud personality and brash attitude were quite interesting. However, they still had some differences. The main difference was her mad infatuation with Sasuke Uchiha, but despite everything she was his good friend. Choji laughed on watching the entire incident while Shino had a smirk on his face. The only people in the room who were not interested in seeing the group of friends were Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno. Naruto had tried to befriend Sasuke in the past, but Sasuke was not interested. He considered himself greater than the others and looked down upon anyone whom he didn't consider a challenge. Sasuke was mad about getting power and achieving it through any means necessary. He brooded all day and did not socialize with anyone. He didn't even look at his fangirls who worshipped him like a divine god. A part of Naruto hated Sasuke with passion. Sasuke was the golden boy of the village. Almost all the villagers practically worshipped him just because he was the last of his clan, which in fact was not entirely true. But still, even after being shown so much care and affection, Sasuke berated others whom he did not consider worthy of his time. This seemed to make Naruto hate Sasuke more. All in all, Sasuke was a stuck-up prick who considered himself greater than the others just because he was an Uchiha. Naruto tried to talk to Sasuke sometimes, but after a few tries gave up on him as he was a lost cause. Sakura, on the other hand, was just book smart but was probably the greatest fangirl of Sasuke. She practically worshipped the ground on which Sasuke walked, and berated others and praised Sasuke for almost everything. Due to this, Naruto stayed away from Sakura as she was annoying. Even Ino's fangirl tendencies paled in comparison to Sakura. Sure, Ino was mad about Sasuke, but she did not berate other people as much as Sakura, and she never berated Naruto or any of her own friends. So according to Naruto, Sakura was just an annoying girl who practically had no skills as a ninja and was not fit to be a shinobi. The rest of the day passed with the group of friends undertaking the kunai and shuriken tests meant to test their accuracy with weapons. Kiba was able to hit 8 out of 10 kunai targets, while Shino hit 7 targets. Shikamaru and Choji were also able to hit 7 targets each, while Ino and Hinata managed to hit 6 out of 10 targets. Sasuke was able to hit every single target, which earned him a rather annoying cheering from his fangirls. Most of his fangirls were civilians who had no idea who Sasuke Uchiha really was. If they knew, they wouldn't have even spared him a glance. Sakura performed the worst out of all students, with only managing to hit 4 targets out of 10. When it was Naruto's turn, he decided to hold back his true skills. In truth, he could hit each and every target, but that would mean showing off his ability, and a shinobi should never show his cards until necessary, and showing off in front of a bunch of academy students was not Naruto's style. So he only hit 8 targets out of the 10 kunai targets. Alright class, now we are going to have a taijutsu spar between students. The spar will continue until one opponent gives up or is knocked out. Any questions? Asked Iruka, but no questions were asked. The first few matches were between a bunch of civilian kids, and as such it was more like street fighting. Kiba and Shino had to face each other. At first they appeared to be even, but slowly within a few minutes of fighting Shino started to get tired and Kiba slipped into his defense and knocked him out, and which led to him winning the match. Ino sparred with a civilian boy and was able to defeat him easily. The match between Shikamaru and Choji was quite amusing. Everyone was expecting a good fight between the two best friends, but were disappointed when Shikamaru just gave up, saying it was too troublesome to defeat Choji, which earned him a beating from Ino and a long lecture from Iruka. Alright, next match is between Hinata Hyuga and Haruno Sakura, announced Iruka. After hearing the announcement, Sakura seemed to be confident while Hinata looked nervous. This is my chance to prove myself to Sasuke-kun, thought Sakura with a dreamy look in her eyes. Meanwhile, Hinata was not all that confident. Seeing her worried face, Naruto went towards her and put a hand on her shoulder. "You can do this, Hinata-chan, I believe in you," said Naruto with a smile. Hinata's eyes widened on hearing that. The boy she admired believed in him. "I won't let Naruto-kun down, I will win this fight," thought Hinata with determination. "Go Hinata! Kick foreheads!" yelled Ino, while the others gave Hinata a thumbs up while Shino gave her a brief nod of encouragement. Seeing all her friends' faith in her brought tears in Hinata's eyes. She got the things she wanted in her life most: recognition and to be acknowledged. These were her true friends, and she won't let their trust go in vain. Iruka signaled the start of the match. Sakura rushed towards Hinata blindly and attempted to give a kick at Hinata's face. Hinata easily caught Sakura's leg and with a quick motion gave a punch to Sakura's chest, and then she quickly gave a leg sweep to Sakura's right leg, making her lose balance and fall on the ground. She then gave a quick series of gentle fist punches and sealed a majority of Sakura's tenketsu. The entire crowd of students were shocked on seeing Hinata's fierce battle. Every time Hinata had a spar with someone, she would lack confidence and would make a mistake and lose easily, but this time she was fighting as if she was a true shinobi. Naruto smiled on seeing Hinata's fight. He knew Hinata wanted to be acknowledged and for people to believe in her. And who be better than her friends, so he just did what was best for his friend, and the others did the same. Sakura found herself in a new world of pain. She had expected to win against Hinata as she considered her weak, but was surprised when she was defeated so easily and was beaten mercilessly by a girl who everyone thought is weak. "Sakura-san, I have sealed of your tenketsu. I would advise you to quit as you are unable to fight," said Hinata with a polite yet stern tone in her voice. Sakura dejectedly accepted her defeat and went back towards her place while limping all the way. "You did great, Hinata-chan," said Naruto, but was surprised when he was enveloped in a tight hug by Hinata. "Thank you for believing in me, Naruto-kun, thank you everyone," said Hinata happily. "Way to go, Hinata!" yelled Kiba with Akamaru barking in agreement. All the others congratulated Hinata, with Ino being the loudest person to praise her for defeating Sakura. Iruka smiled on seeing the entire interaction between his students. "It seems I was wrong about you, Naruto. Hokage-sama was right, the will of fire burns brightly in all of you," thought Iruka proudly. "Alright, today's last match is between Naruto Hatake and Sasuke Uchiha," announced Iruka. The entire crowd went silent but soon erupted into a cheering for Sasuke, the most coming from Sakura. "Oi Naruto, kick that Thames," said Kiba. "Good luck, Naruto-kun," said Hinata with a warm smile. "Troublesome, I know you'll win," said Shikamaru while Choji and Shino nodded. "Naruto, good luck, but please don't hurt Sasuke-kun," said Ino in a low voice so that no one else could hear. I understand Ino-chan and thank you, said Naruto with a kind smile. Ino blinked in surprise on hearing being called Chan, and got a blush on her face. Well, he's not that bad, thought Ino with a blush. Naruto and Sasuke stood in front of each other waiting for Iruka's signal to start the spar. Naruto seemed to be stoic as ever, his emotions being hidden behind his mask while Sasuke seemed to be confident of himself. Iruka gave the signal indicating the start of the spar, but even after a few moments Naruto hadn't moved from his position and was standing with his hands in his pockets as if he was mocking Sasuke. What's the matter, Dobi? You scared of facing me? Asked Sasuke in a mocking tone. Naruto gave no reaction and stood stoically in front of Sasuke. Kakashi had taught him that the best way to win a fight was to make sure your opponent gets distracted. Naruto knew about Sasuke. He knew Sasuke was strong, but his arrogance was his weakest point, and by playing with his ego he was making sure that Sasuke loses his cool. With the spectators. Shika, why is Naruto just standing there? Asked Ino in confusion. Psychological warfare, stated Shikamaru. What? Asked Ino even more confusedly. All the others were also interested in hearing Shikamaru's answer. Troublesome blondes. Naruto likes to plays with his opponent's emotions rather than charge in head-on. I noticed this while we played shogi, said Shikamaru. As if he could defeat my Sasuke-kun with such cheap trick. Screeched Sakura. Everyone winced on hearing her voice, even Ino, who was fond of Sasuke, was annoyed by Sakura's madness. But do you think Naruto would be able to defeat Sasuke? Asked Choji. Naruto is a way more powerful than he lets on, said Shino for the first time. How so? Asked Kiba. You'll see, besides it's too troublesome to explain, said Shikamaru. Lazy Naras, thought everyone at the same time. With Naruto. Naruto was waiting for Sasuke to start his attack. Meanwhile, Sasuke was getting impatient with Naruto's non-responsiveness and decided to provoke him a little. Looks like your loser friends were wrong to trust a dobi like you, mocked Sasuke, and the reaction he got from Naruto satisfied him. Naruto's eyes hardened on hearing that. He could tolerate his insult to some extent, but no one ever insults his friends and walks away with it. I wanted to hold back Sasuke, but you leave me no choice, thought Naruto. Before anyone could even blink, Naruto rushed towards Sasuke at tremendous speed and slammed his fist in Sasuke's gut. Sasuke felt the air knocked out of his lungs. He wasn't even able to see Naruto's moves. Naruto then gave a harsh kick to Sasuke's face and sent him flying few feet back. All the people watching the fight were stunned to see the best student in the class being beaten like a dog, and it seemed that Naruto wasn't even trying. Naruto baka, stop trying to cheat and hurt Sasuke-kun, screeched Sakura in Sasuke's favor. Everybody just wondered how stupid could she be. Kill her, make her feel pain, said a voice inside Naruto's mind, shocking him. Naruto realized that it must have been the Kyuubi, but now was not the time to think about it. Sakura, shut up, you're annoying, said Naruto in an icy tone, sending shivers up everyone watching the fight. Sakura was frozen with fear as Naruto's cold blue eyes looked at her. His small killing intent was making things worse for her. Is this your power, Naruto? Thought all his friends and Iruka in unison. Don't forget about me, yelled Sasuke angrily and attempted to send a right hook towards Naruto. With great speed, Naruto sidestepped from Sasuke's attack. He then grabbed Sasuke's arm and twisted it, making Sasuke wince in pain. Looks like Enko's training paid off, thought Naruto with a smirk. Shinobi Rule 25. A ninja must always keep his emotions in check. If emotions are not controlled, they will lead to your downfall, Sasuke, said Naruto mockingly with a mild laugh. Sasuke yanked his arm away from Naruto. He then tried to give a leg sweep to Naruto, but Naruto back flipped away gracefully. Why do you hesitate? You're pathetic, said the voice again from Naruto's mind. Shut up, you damn fox, yelled Naruto in his mind. Sasuke and Naruto then engaged with each other in fierce taijutsu battle for the next few minutes. Sasuke was giving everything he got, but Naruto was just avoiding his attacks like a snake. It was as if he had no bones in his body. The entire class as well as Iruka was stunned on seeing what was happening. The best student in the class, who was considered a prodigy of his generation, was being demolished by Naruto. "You're weak. Doesn't he make your blood boil? Answer me," yelled the voice again. Naruto was getting frustrated. For the last few minutes he was fighting Sasuke and the fox was annoying him a lot, trying to make him more angry. "Yes, now shut up," yelled Naruto. "You will bow before me, you insolent brat. Now watch my power," said the voice. Naruto was trying his best to control his anger. He was feeling a surge of power through his body. Every fiber in his body was itching to kill Sasuke. It was like the fox's bloodlust was affecting him. "You listen to me, you damn fox. I won't let you control me. Now go back to where you came from," yelled Naruto with determination. "Fool. Soon, very soon you will fall," said the voice with malice in its voice. Sasuke jumped in and tried to give a hard kick on Naruto's head, but Naruto brought both his hands up and blocked his attack. He then grabbed Sasuke's leg and swinged him in the air and threw him to the ground like a rag doll. "Why am I so weak?" thought Sasuke, noticing the bruise all over his body. "Is that all?" asked Naruto angrily. Everyone was startled by this new Naruto. Gone was the kind boy, in his place was an entire new person. "You are weak. You overestimate your own ability without having any idea of my own. You consider yourself superior than the others just because you are an Uchiha. You are pathetic, Sasuke, and you do not have strength, nor do you know the meaning of true strength," said Naruto in a demonic voice and kicked Sasuke in his jewels. Every male winced on seeing the kick connect with Sasuke, jewels. Every person was frightened of this new Naruto who had an evil aura coming from his body. Some kids had already fallen unconscious while the others were barely staying awake. Iruka was also frozen in his spot. He wanted to stop the fight, but Naruto's voice had frozen him to his spot. It was the same fear that he had experienced during the Kyuubi attack that he was facing now. "No, Naruto is not the fox. He is different. I have faith in him," thought Iruka with determination. "Naruto, please stop," yelled Ino. Ino's voice brought Naruto out of his daze. "What was I doing? I was getting influenced by the fox. I will not let it get what it wants," thought Naruto with determination on realizing his mistake. Meanwhile, Sasuke was in intense pain. His entire body was hurting from the various hits which he received from Naruto. "It's the same as it was with Itachi. Why am I weak and pathetic?" thought Sasuke, thinking of how his brother had demolished his clan and how helpless he was on that night. "Let's finish this, said Naruto. Naruto then rushed towards Sasuke with intense speed. Sasuke saw Naruto approaching and tried to give a kick at Naruto's chest, but Naruto ducked under it. He then gave a swift and powerful kick to Sasuke's chin, launching him in the air. Naruto quickly jumped afterwards and appeared directly beneath Sasuke. Naruto twisted his body around, driving a kick towards Sasuke's side. Sasuke was barely able to block it, but Naruto just used it to increase his momentum as he spun the other way. His punch hit Sasuke brutally in the chest, knocking him back towards the ground. Naruto fell with him, subjecting Sasuke to a brutal series of mid-air kicks. It ended with him burying his foot into Sasuke's stomach. At the same moment, the Uchiha hit the ground with enough force to form a few small cracks. Sasuke coughed up blood, and then became unconscious. "It's over," said Naruto on seeing Sasuke's condition. "Winner Naruto Hatake," said a stunned Iruka, and then rushed forward to check on Sasuke. There was absolute silence. No one was able to believe that their prodigy Sasuke Uchiha, of the great Uchiha clan, had just been beaten mercilessly. There were mix of reactions among the students. Sasuke's fangirls were livid at Naruto for hurting and defeating Sasuke, but after seeing what Naruto did, decided to keep their mouths shut for their own safety. even Sakura did not screech at Naruto, instead she was terrified of him. Some of the kids were amazed by Naruto's strength and couldn't help but wonder on how strong Naruto truly was. Amazing, said Hinata in awe. Way to go, Naruto. Nice work on kicking that Thames, yelled Kiba, punching his fist in the air, which was followed by a cheerful bark from Akamaru. Troublesome, muttered Shikamaru, but had a small smile on his face. How much were you holding back, Naruto? Thought Shikamaru. Naruto felt a little bad on hitting Sasuke so badly, but then he remembered what Sasuke had said and came to the conclusion that Sasuke deserved it. He then saw the reactions of his friends and saw fear, pride, doubts, worry etched on their faces. I need to calm down myself, thought Naruto. He then went towards his friends, Ino specifically. He remembered Ino had asked him not to injure Sasuke badly, but he injured Sasuke and felt as if he hurt Ino even though Sasuke deserved what he got. I'm sorry, Ino, I hurt Sasuke, said Naruto regretfully. He was expecting a slap, cursing from Ino, but what happened next shocked him. Ino enveloped in a tight hug and had a few tears in her eyes. It's all right, I heard what Sasuke said, it's not your fault, said Ino and embraced Naruto tightly. Thanks, Ino-chan, said Naruto and returned the hug. He felt relieved on hearing that Ino didn't blame him or hate him for beating Sasuke. Troublesome blondes, muttered Shikamaru with a smirk. Oi, Ino, you sure you like Sasuke? It looks like you like Naruto a lot more than Sasuke, teased Kiba. Shut up, dog breath, yelled Ino and bonked Kiba, but she had a light blush on her face. Naruto, you performed well, said Shino, and Naruto nodded. Guys, thank you for having faith in me. Now I have some work to do, I'll see you guys later, said Naruto and immediately ran off without waiting for any reply from his friends. I need to talk to Kakashi ni-san and Gigi, thought Naruto and rushed towards the Hokage tower. Everyone just wondered what Naruto really was, he was an enigma to them. At one moment he's a kind and caring person, and the other moment he was a ruthless person who destroyed his enemies. One thing was made clear, that Naruto was not what he seemed and was a lot more powerful than he showed. And there was something dark in Naruto. The meeting. Hiruzen Sarutobi had been through many things in his life. He was a veteran of 3 shinobi world wars, fought with the Kyuubi, guided his village as Hokage, passed on the will of fire to the future generations, but not in his entire life he had heard of the Kyuubi, the strongest Biju in the world, the beast who almost destroyed Konoha trying to talk with its Jinchuriki. The first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, Mito Uzumaki, never mentioned of having any interaction with the nine-tailed fox. Nor did Mito's niece Kushina Uzumaki had any type of contact with the nine-tailed demon fox during her life. But here was Mito's great-grandnephew and Kushina's son telling him that the Kyuubi tried to talk to him and influence him. This boy is going to be the end of me someday, thought Hiruzen tiredly. So let me get this straight, the Kyuubi was telling you to kill Sakura and Sasuke? Asked Hiruzen sternly. Yup, that's about it. Besides that, Tem was a pain in the, said Naruto with slight annoyance in his voice. Naruto, you should have better control over your emotions. I taught you better, said Kakashi disappointingly. I'm sorry, ni-san, I don't know how I lost control. But I'll try harder, said Naruto dejectedly. He never liked to disappoint Kakashi and was feeling guilty as he let his brother down. That just means you have to practice more and control your emotions. You can do this, Naruto, I have faith in you, said Kakashi reassuringly. Kakashi knew it was never easy when the strongest Biju in the world was trying to control you, and honestly he couldn't blame Naruto for losing control. Hell, even he would not be able to keep the Biju at bay, but still he had to make sure Naruto understood the seriousness of the situation and was making sure of it. This is indeed troublesome. Naruto, from what you have told me I can assume that the Kyuubi reacts to your anger or your hatred for someone so far. This is a very serious matter, Naruto, and I agree with Kakashi. If you are to remain in control over the Kyuubi and stop his influence, then you need to control your emotions and strengthen your will, explained Hiruzen. How do I do that, Gigi? Asked Naruto confusedly. Naruto too wanted to be in control of himself and not in that of the stupid fox. The thought of being controlled by someone else was not at all acceptable to Naruto. I'll do whatever it takes. I won't let you control me, you stupid fox, thought Naruto with determination. Hiruzen and Kakashi saw the look in Naruto's eyes which showed his determination and were quite pleased and relieved that Naruto was not submitting to the Kyuubi's power. Alright Naruto, in order to control your emotions you must meditate more, said Hiruzen. I don't understand, Gigi, I am already meditating, why do I need to meditate more? Asked Naruto confusedly. Because you have not achieved complete control over your mind. By meditating more you will be able to know more about yourself, said Kakashi in an amused voice. Hey, what does that mean? Asked Naruto irritatingly. That's for you to find out. Try to look underneath the underneath, said Kakashi with a chuckle. Annoying older brothers, mumbled Naruto with a sigh. Did you say something? Asked Kakashi in his trademark voice. Oh, you're not getting me so easily, thought Naruto deviously. Huh? Asked Naruto in a too innocent voice. This got very different reactions from the two other occupants in the room. Hiruzen couldn't contain his laughter anymore while Kakashi was shocked that Naruto had just played his own card against him again. I never thought that I would live to see this day, Kakashi. Somebody actually used your own attitude against you, said Hiruzen with a chuckle. I wonder what Guy would think about this, suggested Naruto deviously. No, please don't tell Guy about this, begged Kakashi and fell on his knees with fake anime tears dropping from his eyes. Only on one condition, said Naruto with a smirk. Anything? Yelled Kakashi immediately. Is this really Kakashi? Thought Hiruzen with a sweat drop. You have to teach me Kenjutsu and Fuinjutsu. Also you have to give me your new copy of Ika Ika, said Naruto with a smirk. What? Why do want to learn Kenjutsu and Fuinjutsu? Asked Kakashi and Hiruzen in unison, ignoring Naruto's demand for Ika Ika. As you know, my dream is to join the Anbu, and every Anbu member must learn Kenjutsu, and I want to learn it too. Byaku's if I start learning now I would be able to master it in a few years or at least be decent enough for Anbu standards. And as for Fuinjutsu I find it to be interesting, explained Naruto. Well, I can teach you Kenjutsu. Besides, you have learned many ninjutsu and your genjutsu illusions are impressive and your taijutsu is good too. But I'm not much skilled in Fuinjutsu. Where did you learn about it? Asked Kakashi. Well, it was mentioned in the academy that the fourth was very skilled with Fuinjutsu. So I went to the library and read about Fuinjutsu and I want to learn it, said Naruto. Naruto, while I agree with Kakashi in teaching you Kenjutsu, you must wait for some time before starting to learn Fuinjutsu as it is a very complex and dangerous art. Its contents are still not discovered to the maximum, even I only have a certain amount of skill in it. The only person who is capable of teaching you Fuinjutsu is not in Konoha right now, explained Hiruzen. You mean Jiraiya, the legendary Sannin, said Naruto. You know Jiraiya is a Fuinjutsu master? Asked Hiruzen with slight shock. Come on, Gigi, I learned something from the boring academy lectures. You should remember it better than me as you designed that stupid academy syllabus. You are getting too old for this job, even Konohamaru would remember this, deadpanned Naruto. Hiruzen's eyebrows twitched a bit on hearing the remark but did not comment, while Kakashi snickered a bit but remained silent after seeing Hiruzen narrow his eyes at him. Alright, now go and meditate or do whatever you want, said Hiruzen irritatingly. See ya, Gramps. Ni-san, I asked for a book, didn't I? Said Naruto deviously. No, please, not my Ika Ika. I haven't even read it yet, whined Kakashi. I just remember I had seen a weirdo in a green suit a few days ago. I think I'll visit him, suggested Naruto with a smirk. Fine, but this is not over, said Kakashi angrily and handed Naruto the book. I never said it was, said Naruto with a smrik. Personally, I have no interest in your book, Ni-san, but it is quite amusing to harass you, thought Naruto deviously. I like you, brat. You are a true kitsune, said the Kyuubi with an evil chuckle. Can't you just leave me alone? Asked Naruto tiredly. Nope, said Kyuubi amusedly. Why'd I even ask? Thought Naruto. That's because you're stupid, said Kyuubi and roared with laughter which was full of malice. I'm out of here, said Naruto. Alright, I'll see you soon, Gigi, said Naruto and opened the door of the office to leave. Naruto, I just wanted to tell you that Konohamaru wanted to meet you, said Hiruzen. Alright, I'll spend some time with him after the academy tomorrow, said Naruto and left the office, leaving an amused Hiruzen and a whining Kakashi in the office. I wonder what that shrimp is up to, thought Naruto with a smile etching on his face. Flashback. A few months ago. It was a nice evening in Konoha. The sun was about to set. The streets were starting to light up, more and more people could be seen in the streets. The shinobi were patrolling the village while the civilians were doing their regular activities. All in all, it was a very peaceful regular day in the village hidden in the leaves. Naruto was returning to his home after completing his training in the Forest of Death. It was his routine of completing his training after the academy. He trained every day in nin, general and taijutsu and was pretty much tired by the end of the day. This day was not an exception. Walking through the streets, he noticed some hateful glares directed towards him. I wonder when they will realize that I'm not that damn fox, thought Naruto with frustration. He was so engrossed in his thoughts that he did not notice a small blur approaching towards him. When Naruto realized there was someone heading towards him, it was too late, as the person collided with him and they both fell on the ground with the person on top of Naruto. When Naruto got a look at the person, he noticed it was a 5 to 6 year old boy. He wore a yellow t-shirt and brown shorts. He had spiky brown hair and black eyes, and the boy was looking at Naruto angrily. Hey, watch where you're going, yelled the kid. Duh, says the person who crashed with me, thought Naruto sarcastically. Kid, you alright? Asked Naruto formally. Even if the kid was an idiot, he had to make sure he was alright. Do you know who I am? Said the kid proudly. Should I care? Sighed Naruto. What? Asked the kid in shock. Why should I care who you are? Asked Naruto irritatingly. I'm Konohamaru Sarutobi, honorable grandson of the 3rd Hokage and future Godime Hokage of Konoha, announced Konohamaru proudly, thinking Naruto would just bow before him like the others. So? Asked a bemused Naruto, who was finding the entire situation quite funny. What, but I'm the grandson, stuttered Konohamaru, but was stopped as Naruto got up and picked him up and stared at him. I don't care if you are the grandson of the Hokage. Every person is known through their actions and beliefs and not by their ancestry, remember that. Also, the future Hokage wouldn't be so stupid to run into another person now, would he, Konohamaru? Asked Naruto sternly, but on the inside he was laughing his off on seeing the shocked expression on Konohamaru's face. Konohamaru could only nod dumbly, as the older boy was not at all affected by his lineage and reprimanded him. As someone had said, to each his own, said Naruto, and started walking away after giving a kind smile to Konohamaru. Konohamaru was quite amazed by Naruto. He saw him as Konohamaru and addressed him as such, and not as the honorable grandson of the 3rd Hokage like the rest of the village, and even though Naruto scolded him, he was happy that someone recognized him. Ni-chan, what is your name? Shouted Konohamaru. Naruto Hatake, replied Naruto and disappeared in the crowd. The villagers were quite horrified by thinking that the demon brat was trying to influence the Hokage's grandson, but did not do anything, fearing the wrath of the Hokage, but their opinion neither mattered to Naruto nor Konohamaru. Flashback end. Konohamaru had become quite close to Naruto after that meeting and used to visit him frequently. He was like the annoying little brother that everyone would like to dote on. He constantly pestered Naruto about various things, mostly about being a shinobi and his training. Naruto also enjoyed Konohamaru's company, and with time he grew attached to Konohamaru and now loved him like his own little brother. They used to spend a lot of time together, if one could say they were like siblings. Konohamaru's loud personality and Naruto's calm attitude was quite an interesting combination, to say the least. Naruto chuckled a little on thinking about the time spent with Konohamaru. People like Anko, Kakashi, Hiruzen, his friends, and Konohamaru brought happiness in his life and were his strength. Naruto noticed that he had arrived at his destination, Training Ground 28. It was one of the most secluded training grounds of Konoha. Not many shinobi came to this place. It was more like a farm than a training ground. Lush green trees surrounded the area with a stream running nearby. There were a few training dummy posts, but nothing much significant. It was the perfect place for meditation or for people who wanted to avoid attention. Well, few bowls of ramen and a good meditation. Sounds like fun, thought Naruto happily. But then Naruto noticed that something was wrong in the training area. The entire training ground was a mess. Kunai were spread everywhere, indicating that either someone was attacked or a practice was done there. The training dummies looked as if they had been beaten to pulp. Whoa, someone sure was angry, thought Naruto. He then noticed a person lying on the ground a few meters away. Wanting to find out who this person was, Naruto went towards the person. The first thing which Naruto noticed that the person was a woman. She had wore a chunin flak jacket and black shinobi pants. She had a red sleeveless outfit underneath her jacket. She was very beautiful. Her black hair fell from her head in an almost messy fashion, but, for all its messiness, it seemed orderly, almost as if she willed it to follow her demands. Below her hair he followed that lower to her posterior. Now, Naruto was not perverted, like many people, because of his jutsu. As such, he was surprised when a bit of blood leaked from his nose when he looked at the woman's. His eyes continued their downward journey to see some of the most legs he had ever laid witness to. He could see that this woman's legs were shaped with muscles, nothing too drastic but enough to prove that she worked out enough to keep her body fit. Her feet covered in sandals just like his own. She wears makeup consisting of red lipstick and purple eyeshadow. All in all, she looked like an angel. But there were also many things that were wrong. First of all, there was blood coming out of her fists. Her outfit was completely messed up with some cuts on various places. Her face had a tired expression, and the dark circles around her eyes indicated that either she must have been deprived of sleep or was crying. Naruto assumed that it was the latter, as her make was quite messed up, suggesting she must have been crying. Looking at the destroyed training dummies made all things clear that this woman must have destroyed them, and quite brutally. He then decided to help the woman. Well, I can't just leave her like this. Man, I wish I knew some medical ninjutsu, thought Naruto. He then stopped the bleeding from her knuckles with some bandages. He could not do anything about the bruises as he was not a medic, but still he checked her and found her vital signs to be stable. He then picked the woman and placed her in shade of a tree and went to bring some water for her from the nearby stream. After bringing some water for the woman, he sat beside her and started his meditation, deciding to wait for the woman to wake up as she definitely looked tired and distressed. Kakashi had once told him to not disturb women in their sleep. Naruto didn't listen to his advice and had once waked up Anko from her beauty sleep. He spent the rest of the day coiled up with snakes in Anko's little apartment. Damn, women are scary when they are pissed. No wonder Shikamaru says they are troublesome, thought Naruto with fear as he remembered the incident. He then started his meditation. Everything seemed to be much more peaceful around him. He could feel the cool air rubbing against his body, the peace provided by nature. He was now able to understand what Kakashi meant and was grateful to Hiruzen and Kakashi for that. Everything was going fine when suddenly he felt himself being dragged into his mindscape. Naruto found himself standing in front of a large sewer. The entire area was flooded with water, but the strange thing was the air leaked of killing intent. It was as if the entire air was full of feelings of malice and hatred. The walls surrounding the sewer were very dull. There were large gates in front of Naruto with a seal on it. All in all, it was a very depressing place. Looking behind the bars, he found himself being watched by a pair of blood-red eyes which seemed to look at him with pure hatred. He saw that these eyes belonged to a giant fox which was a few hundred feet tall and had 9 tails swinging wildly in the air. Recognizing who this person was, Naruto could just sigh. Why can't he just leave me alone for some time? Thought Naruto with frustration. The Kyuubi was sometimes as annoying as Sakura. The fox seemed to realize Naruto's boredom and took it as an insult, and soon 5 giant claws seemed to be coming out of the cage and heading towards Naruto, aiming to tear him off. Realizing the danger he was in, Naruto immediately jumped a few feet away and activated his Sharingan. Is that how you greet the person who has carried your sorry for 10 years? Said Naruto bemusedly. Shut up, you idiot. I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune, the strongest Biju in the world, roared Kyuubi angrily. And yet you are sealed in a puny little human like a slave, retorted Naruto amusingly and started laughing loudly on seeing Kyuubi growl further and trying to kill him with his claws, but the seal seemed to stop it. The seal seems to be one of the most strongest seals if it is capable of stopping even Kyuubi, thought Naruto in amazement. If not for your bastard Yondaime and this seal, I would have killed you, ripped you apart and enjoyed hearing your screams till eternity, chuckled Kyuubi maliciously. You can try, said Naruto with a smirk. If this wasn't enough, you have those damned eyes, muttered Kyuubi, which went unnoticed by Naruto. What did you say? Asked Naruto suspiciously. Why the should I tell you? Retorted Kyuubi bemusedly and laughed on seeing Naruto's eyes twitching a little. Listen, Kyuubi, you and I both didn't want this. You being sealed in a human and me bearing all the hatred because of all the shit you caused. I don't know why you attacked the hidden leaf, and personally I don't care, said Naruto tiredly. You don't? Asked a curious Kyuubi. There are few reasons. First, some people deserved it, said Naruto a little angrily. Oh, is that so? Said Kyuubi with a devious chuckle. I like you, brat, thought Kyuubi proudly. But not all the people deserved your wrath, and second, you won't tell me even if I asked you, explained Naruto. You are smarter than you look, said Kyuubi. Hey, shut up, you fuzzball, yelled Naruto a little childishly. Both Kyuubi and Naruto stared at each other for a few moments angrily. Both seemed to be pretty determined to not back down, but in the end Naruto averted his eyes while Kyuubi had a smirk on his face on getting his victory. Look, Kyuubi, at least bear with me for the time you are stuck with me, requested Naruto. Why should I do that? Asked Kyuubi arrogantly. Because it won't end well for you if you don't, said Naruto demonically with his Sharingan piercing in Kyuubi's eyes. For a brief moment Kyuubi was quite shaken by this new Naruto. He could see a younger version of Uchiha Madara and the masked man that subdued him. There was a lot of darkness in Naruto. He was not afraid of Naruto, it was quite the opposite, he was intrigued by Naruto. He was his first Jinchuriki that talked with him. Of course it was his fault that he never talked with his previous Jinchuriki, but neither of them wanted to do anything with him. But Naruto was different. Even though he possessed the Sharingan that Kyuubi despised the most in the world, he was not arrogant, nor did he consider Kyuubi his slave. Instead, he wanted a compromise with him. There will come a person in the future, the one who would establish true peace in this world or destroy it completely. All of you tailed beasts will play an important role in this person's life. No matter how far you go, you all will always be together. This person will show you the right path and the meaning of true power. Until that time, wait for your destiny and the role you will play in it, my children. These were the words said by the Raikodu Sennin, the person who saved the world from the Jubi 10 tails, and became a god and the one who created the tailed beasts. Kyuubi could still remember his father's words. The Raikodu Sennin was the only human in the entire world who Kyuubi respected and looked up to. I wonder if you are the one, Naruto, thought Kyuubi. Oi, Kyuubi, snap out of it. Tell me, why have you brought me here? I have important things to do, you stupid fuzzball, said Naruto irritatingly as Kyuubi just stared at him. Yeah right. Like peeking on hot older women, scoffed Kyuubi. Hey, I wasn't peeking, nor is she old, retorted Naruto angrily, but had a slight blush on his face, but fortunately it was hidden behind his face mask. Quite protective are we, teased Kyuubi and stared laughing on seeing Naruto's shocked expression. Balls, muttered Naruto angrily on being caught red-handed by the Kyuubi. Ha ha ha, that was quite funny, brat. You are an interesting human, roared Kyuubi with laughter. Naruto was just itching to beat the shit out of Kyuubi but remembered something. Naruto, you should have better control over your emotions. I taught you better, said Kakashi disappointingly. I won't let it happen again. I will control my emotions, thought Naruto. Alright Kyuubi, what did you call me here for? Asked Naruto seriously, his voice devoid of any emotions. Kyuubi stopped his laughter and looked at Naruto with something akin to interest. I wanted you know that I want you to learn everything from the Cyclops stupid brother of yours, said Kyuubi and leaked some of his chakra to let Naruto know he was commanding him, but was quite shocked when what happened next. Naruto's Sharingan started spinning wildly and instantly all the Kyuubi's chakra was suppressed immediately, leaving not even a single trace behind. That's just awesome, thought Naruto in awe on seeing Kyuubi's chakra being suppressed with his Sharingan. What is this boy? He can even suppress my chakra like Madara and that masked bastard. Damn, thought Kyuubi a little angrily. Call my niece-san stupid again, I'll make you suffer in ways not even you could imagine, threatened Naruto with venom in his voice. Is that a threat? Asked the Kyuubi bemusedly. That's a promise, replied Naruto with hatred in his voice that even startled the Kyuubi. I'm sure he is bipolar or something, thought Kyuubi confusedly. Alright, keep your mouth shut. I want you to learn as much as you can from the people around you and grow stronger, ordered Kyuubi. What does it matter to you? Asked Naruto confusedly. It matters everything. Your damn Yondaime created this seal in such a way that binded me to you. A threat to your pathetic existence is a threat to my own, because if you die it would take years before I can be born again, or I may even die. I don't want to waste my life if you die, explained Kyuubi. Wait, so you are immortal? Asked Naruto with fascination. Yup. I'm awesome, replied the Kyuubi with a smirk. I beg to differ, replied Naruto with his own smirk. Get out of here, your vixen is getting up, you annoying little punk, said the Kyuubi irritatingly. Hey, she isn't my vixen or any other shit like that, you fuzzball, said Naruto angrily. Is that so? Then why were you watching her with lust in your eyes? Asked Kyuubi with a smirk. Replied Naruto and disappeared from the sewer. I wonder if all the Uchihas speak the same line. It would be interesting to stay with you, Naruto, thought the Kyuubi interestingly. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and saw nothing had changed in his surroundings during his talk with the Kyuubi. The kunoichi was still slowly opening her eyes. Seeing this, Naruto went towards her. You alright? Asked Naruto in a concerned voice. The kunoichi rubbed her eyes a few times before staring briefly at Naruto. Naruto was mesmerized by the women's eyes. They were very distinct ruby red colored eyes with two black rings within them. Her eyes are so beautiful, I wonder if it is a dojutsu, thought Naruto with a light blush. Stop staring at her, you idiot, yelled Kyuubi. What's wrong, you fuzzball? I'm just looking at her eyes, stated Naruto simply. If you don't want to be kicked in the balls, stop staring, said the Kyuubi loudly, making Naruto cringe a bit. But deciding to follow Kyuubi's advice this once, Naruto averted his eyes from the women. Who are you? The woman asked sternly. Naruto Hatake, stated Naruto with a warm smile. What are you doing here? This place is reserved for shinobi and I can see that you are not one, so tell me the truth now, stated the woman dangerously. Gee, is this the thanks I get for helping her? Thought Naruto sarcastically. Yes, you are right, I am not a shinobi but an academy student, but I do have permission to come to this training ground, said Naruto. On whose authority? Asked the woman. Lord Hokage himself. If you don't believe me, ask him yourself. Now can you please stop your interrogation? Said Naruto irritatingly. Gomen, it's just that no one other than shinobi are allowed here, but I'll try to trust you and ask Lord Hokage about this, said the woman softly. Thank you, miss. Asked Naruto. Kurenai Yuhi, said the woman. Here Kurenai-san, I've stopped the bleeding from your knuckles as best as I could, but I can't do anything about the bruises as I'm not a medic. Gomen, said Naruto sincerely and offered her water, which she drank after giving Naruto a calculating gaze that it wouldn't end well for him if something was wrong, but nothing happened. Arigato Naruto-san, but I have a few questions for you. Said Kurenai. You can call me Naruto. Well, I have some questions for you too, but please ask your questions first, said Naruto simply, and Kurenai gave him a grateful nod. Alright Naruto, you said your last name was Hatake. I know only one person in Konoha who has that last name, and he doesn't have any blood relative alive now. Care to explain? Said Kurenai. Yes, you are right, my real name is Naruto Uzumaki, but after Kakashi ni-san adopted me I changed my name, said Naruto. Kurenai's eyes widened a little on hearing Naruto's real name, but schooled her features immediately. Do you hate me for what's sealed in me? Asked Naruto sadly after noticing Kurenai's shock. Kurenai was shocked to learn that Naruto was aware of what was sealed in him, and even more shocked when he was able to read her emotions. No Naruto, I do not hate you, said Kurenai with a smile. Why? Asked Naruto suspiciously. I know the difference between a jailer and a prisoner, and I have faith in the Yondaime's ability, and seeing that you helped me proves I was right. You are not what people think, said Kurenai, giving Naruto a warm smile. Naruto was happy to hear that there was at least another person in the village who saw him as Naruto and not the fox. Arigato Kurenai-san, said Naruto warmly. Call me Kurenai. Now I just wanted to know, what were you doing here? You were not peeping, were you? Asked Kurenai menacingly with a dark tone. No Kurenai, I just came here to meditate in order to relax. I swear I wasn't peeping on you, I didn't even know you were here. I just saw you injured and helped you, I didn't do anything perverted, said Naruto instantly. It's alright Naruto, relax, I think I can believe you are saying the truth, stated Kurenai with a smile. You believe me, but you don't even know me, said Naruto in confusion. Yes, I only met you now, but I find truth in what you are saying, and you wouldn't lie to me, would you? Questioned Kurenai. No Kurenai, I am not lying, and thanks for trusting me. Can I ask you a question? Asked Naruto. I'll answer your question only if I believe that it is in my power to answer that, said Kurenai firmly. Fair enough, why were you crying? Asked Naruto. Kurenai's eyes widened on hearing that Naruto had caught her so easily again. She then remembered how her life had went from better to worse. Kurenai had been living a normal life as a shinobi, that was until 6 months ago the Hokage had assigned her a specific mission. She was just a chunin of the village and was one of the best genjutsu specialists of Konoha. As a result, the Hokage had given her a mission of teaching Yakumo Kurama, the clan heir of the Kurama clan, to control her powers. The girl had enormous talent in genjutsu, which was even more than Kurenai, but the girl was mentally unstable. She had a dual personality that acted as a defense against any of her insecurities and was preventing her from controlling her powers and becoming a shinobi. Yakumo's instability was such that she had murdered her own parents by accident and was not even aware of it. Kurenai tried to help the girl in controlling her powers. Yakumo was a very kind-hearted girl, and over time Kurenai grew a lot closer to her and sometimes acted as her elder sister instead of her teacher, but despite all her efforts she failed. Yakumo's inner demon was highly unstable and as such was a threat to the village. As a result, the Kurama clan demanded Yakumo to be killed, but the Hokage refused that and instead decided to seal away Yakumo's power. He then gave Kurenai a top-secret mission to seal away Yakumo's power and thus ending her career and hopes of becoming a shinobi. Kurenai with a heavy heart sealed off Yakumo's power for the sake of the village and Yakumo herself. She took this burden of making Yakumo believe that she sealed away her power because she was jealous of her, which was entirely false, as she did not want Yakumo to hate the village. Kurenai was proud of Yakumo and had high hopes for her, but destiny played a cruel hand in her life once again. Her mother had died when she was a child, so she never received the love of a mother, and her father died defending the village during the Kyubi attack. She had lost the people beloved to her and had become a very stoic person who was devoted to her village. She was known as the Ice Queen of Konoha, but she was not cold and uncaring as people thought her to be. Instead, she was kind, caring, and a brave person who had some tragic incidents in her life. And sealing of the powers of the girl whom she considered her younger sister was the last nail in the coffin, and she was unable to bear the pain which came with it. Seeing Kurenai's painful look, Naruto decided to do something to ease her pain. "I'm sorry, Kurenai, I didn't want to hurt you, but sometimes sharing your pain with others helps. If it is a private matter or something related to village secrets, or if you don't want to tell me, I understand," reassured Naruto with a kind smile. "You are way mature than people your age, Naruto. How old are you anyway?" asked Kurenai with the intention of changing the topic. "You're not the first person to say that. I'm 10 years old, I'll turn 11 in a few months," said Naruto, and Kurenai nodded. They both sat there in the shade of the tree in a comfortable silence. Neither of them said a word and instead were enjoying the beauty of nature and the peace it provided. Naruto seemed to just relax and had laid down on the grass and was watching the clouds. Meanwhile, Kurenai seemed to observe Naruto. She found him to be a very carefree person, and there was something about Naruto that was forcing her to believe that she could trust Naruto. She could feel a lot calmer in his presence. It was as if her pain was reduced to some extent. Deciding to start a conversation, she opted to speak first. "You didn't ask my age?" asked Kurenai curiously. "Well, you are very beautiful and kind person, so your age doesn't matter. And also it doesn't end very well when a person asks a girl her age," said Naruto with a chuckle. Kurenai laughed on hearing Naruto's answer, but also had a light blush on her face. Naruto found her laugh adorable. "I'm 17 inches," said Kurenai, and Naruto nodded with a warm smile. Naruto then took out 2 cups of ramen from his bag and a bottle of hot water. He then added the water to the ramen and stirred it a little, and after a few moments finished preparing his ramen. He then offered 1 cup of ramen to Kurenai. "I know it's not what people like much, but that's what I have right now, and if I am right, you must have trained very hard, so you might be hungry. Would you like to eat some ramen?" asked Naruto sincerely. Kurenai thought over Naruto's proposal a bit. She found Naruto's words to be sincere but was hesitating a bit. "I'm not hungry, Naruto, but thank you for the offer," said Kurenai politely. But after a few moments there was a low rumbling noise which came from Kurenai's stomach. Naruto laughed loudly and Kurenai looked a little embarrassed. She then took the ramen and started eating it slowly. They both sat there in silence enjoying their little meal. Well, Naruto seemed to be enjoying it a lot while Kurenai was eating in silence, but if the peaceful look on her face was any indication, then she was enjoying it too. "I have done some things that I am not proud of," said Kurenai after a few moments. Kurenai was in great emotional stress. She didn't have many close friends and her best friend Anko was on a mission right now. Sure, the Hokage was there, but she could not show weakness in front of him, but after spending some time with Naruto and getting to know him to some extent, she decided to at least talk with him to ease her pain. Sure, she knew that Shinobi lived a life of deception and Naruto could be lying to her, but right now she just needed anyone to listen to her and stand beside her. "Did it hurt some people?" asked Naruto softly. "Yes," said Kurenai solemnly. "Hokage-sama once told me that a life of a shinobi is of pain, but we do what is necessary to protect what is dear to us. I am not judging you, Kurenai, nor am I saying that I can understand your pain and sympathizing with you, because as long as people do not suffer the same pain, they could never understand the pain of other people," said Naruto sadly. He too remembered his life, the hate and pain that he suffered because of him being a Jinchuriki, and could somewhat know of Kurenai's pain, but he did not ask what she did, as it might be classified as she was a shinobi and he was not authorized to know any such information as he had not become a shinobi yet. But the main reason was he did not want to remind Kurenai of her pain. Meanwhile, realization dawned on Kurenai upon hearing Naruto's words. She knew how much Naruto must have suffered during his life, as she had once seen how the villagers treated him and felt sorry for him, but it also made her realize that what she had done with Yakumo was in order to protect her from herself and the village. This seemed to reduce her pain a lot. She could feel a lot much lighter. The guilt was still there, but now it made more sense to her than it did before. She did what she had to do as a shinobi of her village and also protected Yakumo, her precious person. Arigato Naruto, said Kurenai with teary eyes. Don't mention it, Kurenai, said Naruto with a warm smile. Why do you always wear this face mask? Are you trying to imitate Kakashi? Asked Kurenai, wiping her tears. You know Kakashi ni-san? Asked Naruto curiously. Hi. We went on a few missions together, said Kurenai. I am not trying to copy my brother. This face mask is special to me, said Naruto. How so? Asked Kurenai. This face mask was the first present that anyone gave me. It shows the bond between me and Kakashi. It was the first thing he gave me, said Naruto with a smile. I understand, said Kurenai solemnly, feeling a little sorry for Naruto. Hey, don't give me that look. I know life is hard, but it does have its good times. Besides, this face mask looks cool on me, doesn't it? Asked Naruto with a little laugh. Yes, it looks good on you, said Kurenai with a soft chuckle. Hey Kurenai, you are a chunin, right? Asked Naruto suddenly. Yeah, said Kurenai skeptically, not sure where Naruto was heading. Which is your strongest area in shinobi arts? I mean ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, or fuinjutsu? Asked Naruto with excitement. I am skilled in genjutsu and a little bit skilled in fuinjutsu, said Kurenai. Really? Genjutsu and fuinjutsu? Asked Naruto. Why do you have any problem with genjutsu or fuinjutsu? Asked Kurenai, feeling a little insulted. No, not at all, Kurenai. Genjutsu is a very skilled shinobi arts as well as fuinjutsu. I find it very interesting. A shinobi could easily complete his mission if he could just disable an enemy's senses and distract him. This would avoid time wastage and some bloodshed. Also, the mission could be completed much subtly. But I am not much skilled in genjutsu, explained Naruto a little sadly. He did not mention that he could cast strong illusions with his Sharingan, as it was a secret. Oh, I thought you didn't like genjutsu. What problems do you have? I might be able to help you as I am skilled in this art, said Kurenai with a smile. She was quite happy that Naruto did not underestimate genjutsu like many shinobi, instead wanted to learn it, and as she was a genjutsu master, decided to help Naruto a little bit. Kakashi says that I have very large amount of chakra, and as a result I have not mastered enough chakra control to cast genjutsu, but I can dispel genjutsu as taught in the academy, said Naruto honestly. That makes sense, considering Jinchuriki always had large chakra reserves. No wonder he has difficulty in controlling his chakra, thought Kurenai. Well, I can help you achieve good chakra control in order to let you train in genjutsu, offered Kurenai. Naruto was quite surprised on hearing Kurenai's answer, and as such was a little skeptical about her reasons for helping him. Why would you help me? Asked Naruto with a little doubt. I want people to accept genjutsu as an equally skilled art as ninjutsu, and as a genjutsu specialist I would help someone who is interested in it, said Kurenai with a smile. Plus I would be able to do things differently this time and pass on some teachings, thought Kurenai hopefully. Well, you've got a volunteer for your dream, said Naruto with a smile. Thanks Naruto, said Kurenai warmly. Well, it's getting late, we should leave now, said Kurenai. Kurenai, would you like me to walk you home? Asked Naruto a little shyly. Kurenai just gave a curious look to Naruto. I don't mean it in a wrong way. Hokage-sama taught me that it is a gentleman's duty to walk a lady home. I don't mean any offense, but if you don't want it, I can understand, said Naruto sincerely. It's all right. Besides, I would like your company, said Kurenai with a smile. Arigato, said Naruto. You seem to be a lot closer to Hokage-sama, asked Kurenai. Yeah, he is like a grandfather to me. He took care of me and protected me whenever I was in danger, said Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto, said Kurenai a little sadly. It's all right, Kurenai. Besides, I have Kakashi and my friends now, said Naruto happily, and Kurenai nodded. They walked towards Kurenai's apartment, chatting all the way about different things and enjoying each other's company. Kurenai was feeling a lot better than before, while Naruto was happy in Kurenai's company. After some time, they reached Kurenai's apartment. Well, good night, Kurenai. I'll see you tomorrow, said Naruto. Meet me at Training Ground 28 in the evening tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'll give you some pointers there, and Naruto, thank you, said Kurenai with a grateful smile. Anytime, Kurenai. It was nice meeting you, said Naruto with a warm smile. He then turned around and was just about to leave when someone put a hand on his shoulder. He turned around and saw Kurenai looking at him. Would you like to be friends? Asked Kurenai softly. Would you seriously like to be friends with me? I mean, I am not much liked in the village, and also I am a bit younger than you, said Naruto, but was stopped when Kurenai gave a light flick to his forehead. Ow! What was that for, Kurenai? Asked Naruto, slightly rubbing his forehead. Kurenai chuckled on seeing Naruto pout a little. Friends are not made on the basis of age, and I don't care whether some people like you or not. You are a good person, Naruto, and so I would like to be friends with you, explained Kurenai. Then friends it is, said Naruto with a wide grin. I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto, said Kurenai. See ya, Kurenai, and you have very beautiful eyes, said Naruto, and disappeared in the street quickly. If Naruto would have looked back, he could have noticed a deep blush and a wide smile on Kurenai's face. He had just helped Kurenai get out of her emotional stress and had made her happy. I look forward to our friendship, Naruto, thought Kurenai with a wide smile.